Hello, everybody. My name is Callie Cupcake 2K10, and today we are going to be doing, this is a different style that I've kind of wanted to try out. This is kind of what I'm calling commentary gameplay. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be yapping a lot, like, unscripted about things that, like, I want to talk about while playing, like, video games and all that stuff, like, mostly, like, Roblox obbies or something. And so, I tried a first take of this. It didn't really go well because I was absolute garbage at some of the games, and I didn't want to get copyrighted by some of the music that played in one game. And, like, you know, I'm just kind of trying this for another time, and, like, here it is. Today I want to sort of yap about Toca Boca as a whole. Just, like, my opinions on Toca Boca nowadays. So, as most of you all know, I am heavily neurodivergent. I am on the autism spectrum, and I am a very, very colorful and weird girl. And of course, being a weird girl like that, I grew up with Toca Boca, which were, like, I just love Toca Boca as a whole. I grew up with other games like My Town, which is kind of like Toca Boca, but more kind of cluttered and more realistic. And I also grew up with, like, I think, like, Dr. Panda or something, a few of his games, of course. But I mostly grew up, if I'm gonna say, like, kid video games, that's maybe some Sesame Street games or two, and Toca Boca. Like, Toca Boca was the main thing, really. So, let me just, like, talk about, like, the standoff titles, and then I'm gonna yap about the main focus, which is Toca Life, world. So, let's go. First off, what is Toca Boca? Toca Boca is a Swedish game development company that was kind of, like, I wouldn't say a pioneer, but definitely changed the game for a lot of, like, kind of children's games. Not really, I don't know what I'm even yapping about anymore, but yeah, they were a Swedish game company that made a lot of games in the 2010s on mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets and sort of all that stuff, really. They made a lot of, like, cute little games here and there, kind of just to, I don't know, to do it. So, a lot of their standalone titles followed kind of a premise of, like, being creative, really. Kind of like, don't hug me, I'm scared-esque, but, like, okay, no, what am I even yapping about? So, their games were very saturated and bright and had these fun little animations, cute little goober characters, and just focused and relied on being creative. That's kind of what the game was for, being creative. So, some of the games that would rely on you being creative were, like, games like Toca Blocks and Toca Music, where you could make anything, really. You could make, like, well, like in Toca Music, you could, like, choose characters, create music. Toca Blocks, you could, like, create new blocks and play with 3 little characters, who I love their designs so much. They are adorable, and I love them. I think there was another game, Toca Build, if that's the name. I think that's the name. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but that kind of game was, like, I didn't play it as much as with, like, Toca Blocks, but, like, it was basically, like, you can control these little wooden puppets around, like, a little, open area in a vast, like, island-esque kind of thing, and it was really cute. I love that game so much, but that kind of, like, you know, made you be creative, because you got all these cute little characters who had these tools on them. One of them could, like, break and spawn in blocks. The other one had, like, this little ball that they could roll around on that, like, could paint. Another one splattered paint. Another one could pick up and drop blocks, like a little spider creature. And they all had their own little, like, ways you could control them and, like, use them and all that stuff. And that was really creative. I loved that. But there were more simpler games, like Toca Boo, for example, where you basically would go around a house and kind of find little creative ways to, like, scare your family members as a cute little ghost. Another one was Toca House, which was a lot more, like, simpler. And basically all you gotta do was be in this house and basically, like, do little chores around there. One more game I want to bring up is Toca Trains, because that game was, like, it's a lot more older than the ones that I brought up, but it's a kind of an interesting example, because I would say it's kind of in the same vein as, like, Toca Boo, where, like, it has, like, a little objective to it, but not really. I don't know. Toca Trains is its own thing, really. I never got into Toca Trains, but it's still a kind of childhood memory of mine. But the main games I want to talk about are the Toca Life series. The first game was Toca Town, and you could see how it was very primitive and all that stuff. It's a very primitive game where, like, you could see a lot of references to, like, older Toca Boca games, and they didn't make, like, their own little characters. It was basically just, like, well, I mean, they did, but, like, half of the characters were based off of characters from their own games, like the monsters from Toca Kitchen Monsters, which Toca Kitchen, that's a whole another rabbit hole in itself. If you've been in, like, if you've seen those, like, kind of off topic, but if you've seen, like, those theories of, like, the Toca girl being, like, abducted or something, that's literally, like, the new gen's version of Talking Angela, like, being spyware, and, like, there's a hacker in her eye, or something like that, and it's, like, I love it so much. I mean, like, I don't love it, because it's, like, why are you doing this to my childhood game, but it's also, like, I love it because it's, like, new gen creepypasta, ooh, and I love that. But, yeah, that's basically kind of the thing with Toca Life. Man, I'm garbage at this game. Wow. So yeah, Toca Life was very primitive, but Toca City, on the other hand, that game brought a whole nother life, and I think it's probably one of my favorites of the Toca Boca games, because, like, it's just so interesting. I love it. It's like a spiritual successor, and improves on a lot of the things. There's a lot more original characters. I love the locations. It's just so bright and warm. It's like, I'd like to, like, kind of compare it to, like, the first, like, seasons of the Powerpuff Girls-esque. Okay, you guys might be wondering, why the heck is she talking about the Powerpuff Girls? But listen up. Listen, I have a thing. Like, I would compare it to, like, the aesthetic there, because in the older series, like, the kind of environments were very warm and bright. Same with, like, Toca City, because those environments are really, like, warm and bright and, like, beautiful there. But then there were also other games like Toca Vacation, another one of my favorites, that introduced Nari, and, like, Toca Farm and Toca Stables, and just all those really fun little games there. That introduced other characters like Leon and Zeke, and the Cloud guy. I forgot the Cloud guy's name, like Nimbus. I think it's Nimbus. Correct me if I'm wrong if it's not Nimbus. There was also this Pineapple Girl, and my favorite character, Midge. I love Midge so much. He's just a silly little goober. But yeah, off topic. So then the newest, the most recent, like, standalone Toca game that's not, like, Toca Life game that's not, like, kind of connected to Toca Life World is actually Toca Neighbors, which I could compare to the newer, kind of, seasons of the Powerpuff Girls that came out, like, after, like, the movie, which I would say, like, they're kind of like yin and yang, really. Toca City or Toca Town and Toca Neighbors are kind of like yin and yang, because one of them's a lot more bright and a lot more, like, festive and a little bit more old-timey, while the other one's a lot more, like, I guess cold? Not cold, that just sounds rude. But I guess, like, it's very, like, you know, like, not very warm, very more techie-ish, a lot more cooler colors and stuff. But I do love Toca Neighbors, because I do wish there were more, like, kind of places you could go to. But the places that you can go to are very, like, nice. I do like them a lot. And that leads us to Toca Life World, which came out, I think, in 2018, 2019. It was either, I think it was, like, after Toca Neighbors or something like that. Like I said before, correct me if I'm wrong with any of these facts, bro. So, yeah, that game came out, and, kind of, that's where we are today. And I do have a few nitpicks for Toca on, like, everything that's going on with Toca Life World, and I'm going to share them with you guys now. So I'm going to put up a disclaimer. Not put up a disclaimer because I can't edit, but I'm going to say a disclaimer right now. It is completely fine to disagree with my opinions. If you don't think that my opinion is right, then that's completely fine. If you do think so, that's also fine. I'm just stating my opinion to the world because I do feel like it's a pretty unpopular one, and I just, want to, kind of share my opinion out there because it's YouTube, and, commentary is kind of sharing your opinions and thoughts about things, and that's what I want to do right now. So my first nitpick with new Toca Boca nowadays, they don't really care about, the standoff games. It's always about Toca Life. Toca Life this, Toca Life that. Toca Life World gets new update confirmed. That's alright and all, but I do wish we could go back to more standoff games, because the standalone games were just so creative, and I loved them so... What is that? And I just loved them so much. Look at this little goober. But yeah, I loved them so much. My favorite things about them were, the different art styles they would have. For example, I like the 3D, kind of colder, more black and white, colors with Toca Dance. And I love the 1950s, cartoony approach, Hanna-Barbera-esque, with Toca Doctor. That's a really clever thing to, make it look like an old kind of cartoony film. And not really old cartoony, but, if you guys have ever seen, 60s looking cartoons, then you guys would probably know what I'm talking about. But, yeah. That's kind of I do wish we could get more, of those art styles, because those were beautiful, especially when, they would go, Toca Nature-esque. Toca Nature was it's such a beautiful game. The music is beautiful. I love the art style of the game. It's just so pretty. Oh, okay, I just fell there. But it's just a pretty game. And I do love, the warmer approach with, Toca Blocks. Not Toca Blocks, Toca Build. I do love how wooden everything looks. They look like little dolls or puppets, marionettes that you can, control around and, make little wooden blocks and stuff. It's truly, arts and craftsy, and I love it about that. Now, with Toca Life World, I love the little cartoony, simple expressions of the characters, but I don't want to just, care about that. I want more, uniqueness from Toca Boca out of all things, really. But yeah, that's kind of it. Secondly, I don't really I'm not, I don't like, but I'm kind of neutral about, how the, aesthetic things are. Mostly with, people who play Toca. Now, I'm not saying, oh, you have to play the game this way, and I'll like it, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what I'm saying. It's just, I do wish we got more cartoony, aesthetics in Toca, and not kind of more beige things that look kind of boring, because I thought the whole thing about, Toca was how, colorful and creative it is, and it feels kind of off, really. It's okay if you can disagree with me on that. I'm just more of a colorful kidcore kind of person. Look at my avatar right now. Tell me this doesn't look like... this is literally, scene colorfulness. I am just all interested in color and all that stuff, and, I'm just not the best with, kind of more muted or pastelish kind of colors. But I will say, some of the, furniture packs that have come out, they're really cute. I love the Hello Kitty ones, and the Y2K one is definitely one of my faves, which brings me to another thing. I love the furniture packs, the style packs, everything, but I do wish they cared more about the locations. Now, that's not to say, I don't, want people to, express their creativity when, making locations, because no, that's completely fine. You want to make locations? Go ahead. But I feel like they're only caring about, the furniture packs and stuff, which is great and all. I love the creativity, but I do wish we got more locations, because the locations were really, like, my favorite part about Toca Life. I love going to all the little scenes and settings and just kind of picking up my characters there, and it is nice to make, like, locations for characters, but I do wish we could get more, like, you know, pre-made locations to explore around, find details, and all that kind of stuff. I will say I'm pretty neutral on that, really. I guess, like, I forgot what I was gonna say for my last thing, but, like, that's kind of really all of my opinions on everything. I just feel like my opinions on Toca now are, like, it's fine, but I just feel like there's a lot more flaws that should be talked about, really. That's just kind of my opinion on everything, because I do feel like Toca cares a lot about this and that. It's like, I get that, but I do really want, like, more of the old classic stuff than the new classic stuff. And I don't like sounding like that. Because it makes me sound like some old, bitter, grumpy, like, you know, like, person. Like, oh, bring back this, bring back that. And it's like, no, come on, man. Let them have their own little new stuff. But, like, I just wish there was a lot more, like, you know, of that. Like, you know, care about the locations and maybe, like, you know, make things more cartoony again. You know, just for that kind of stuff, really. But yeah, that's kind of it. So, if you guys like what you heard, and you guys want more, go ahead and comment down below what you want me to talk about next, because I for sure would love to talk about more stuff like that. And if you guys enjoy this video, you can always like and subscribe and stuff. And of course, I love you guys very much. Thank you guys so much for listening to my first ever real commentary gameplay video. Like I said before, if you want more, comment, you know, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. Alright, I'll talk to y'all later.